It's hard to understand the way that you went out. I bet you're living with a little hint of doubt. Maybe next time when you gotta show your hand, you won't cut and run, you'll finally make a stand. 'Cause I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. We're not through. Yeah, I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. Existential questions always get you down. All you want to know is are we lost or found? Is there something that you feel you need to chase? I bet you thought you'd put me in my place. 'Cause I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. We're not through. I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. Yeah, I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. We're not through. Yeah, I know it's true, I'm finally getting to you. You can run, you can hide, but inside, I'm finally getting to you. Yes, it's true. I still love you, but I am getting to you.
Stand by to initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5,
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2, 1. Mark.
Welcome back to the Resupply with me, guy next door.
Me, DK.
And me, Van.
Bringing
You're pretty good at keeping a straight face. That was not,
pretty
wasn't
good,
bad.
pretty good. Bringing you your semi-regular double tap of all things Space Marines and Laser Force. Sometimes I think that we should just broadcast the things that we say off stream. What a way to
That
get
we
yourself
weren't trying to get
cancelled.
canceled today.
Yeah, so cancelled. Nice to see you, gentlemen. It's been a couple weeks. We've been off. We've been gallivanting, or some of us have been. How you doing? Nice to see you. You good? Good.
Yeah, it's been it was a good week last weekend. Good weekend last weekend. This week sucked, but that's corporate America for you.
Yeah.
But no,
Sure is. Fuck
but-
the man.
I mean,
Consensually.
the man pays me really well, and I got really good benefits. So, but yeah, no, this week has been kind of hellacious at work, and then today some stuff got dropped on us. Like, wait, what? So, but that's a whole other rant that doesn't really have any place, right? I know it's never stopped me before, but just this once, I'm gonna try to not do that. but last weekend, Emerald City Comic Con.
Oh,
was
yeah.
fucking awesome. It's fucking great.
Did you meet any rad people?
I mean, so I realized that both of you are going to be extraordinarily shocked to hear this, but I was actually like social in lines,
Ooh.
like actually, both girlfriend and I were actually social in lines with people, which is definitely not my normal thing at all ever.
It's only possible with other nerds. It can be
Yeah.
laser tag nerds. It can be TV show nerds, comic book nerds, but it has to be nerds.
Yeah. I mean, there's that common element of, oh, we're all introverts, so maybe we'll all experiment with extroverting together. But no, it was really really good. The Adventure Time panel was kind of the main thing that we were looking forward to, because we managed to completely finish watching everything for it, like about a week before Triple C. Like, got through all 10 seasons, the Distant Land stuff afterward, and the Fiona and Cake extra spin-off series. So that made the panel, much more enjoyable. And then the
Steve, you know what he's talking about.
That's the
and then
one
there's
with the
some other
dog.
stuff that was really good. I mean, yes, there is a dog.
Yeah.
So
I tried getting into that show and I
yeah.
couldn't do it. I just really couldn't. It was too acid trip for me.
So season 1 definitely is, but it's one of those that, like, as it goes and as it gets like deeper and deeper into some of the characters, it's like, okay, that's actually really really cool. And then the amount of times I'd be watching and I'd have to pause it and be like, why am I having a therapy session while I'm watching a
Yeah.
goddamn cartoon?
I'll see. That was me with Ted Lasso.
It was just like, wait, what are you? What? So, but no, overall, that was very, 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 very cool. It was nice to go up for 3 days this year instead of the one day last year. So there was more time to just kind of like browse through things and not feel so, crunched. Like, oh, gotta do this, gotta do that. Have to get through all of this in this very short, compressed time frame, and then staying at a hotel that was a 5-minute walk to the convention center instead of the 15-minute walk last year. That 10 minutes doesn't sound like a big difference, but that is a huge difference when you can, decide, you know what, I need a break, go back to the room pretty easily and, drop stuff off or whatever. And it's, it's a 10-minute round trip instead of a half an hour round trip. So
that's
good.
kind of what, like, where did we stay in Sacramento? Was it Orange Town or
Orangevale.
Orangevale.
Yeah, that was like 30 minutes away from site, which was too far away. It was too far away from site. Yeah, especially like you say, if you want to go back there during the day, an hour round trip for a lunch break for us is not good. So I can kind of understand. Yeah. When you're walking, it basically feels like an hour. It's bullshit. Sounds dope though, dude. You got to stand in line and talk to people. That's nice.
I mean, it worked out okay. But yeah, no, definitely it's one that is staying on the rotation of things. Like, I've already got the dates in my calendar for next year, so I can pay a little more attention to when the tickets go on sale this year, and get them before the price goes up.
Yeah, awesome.
Details, minor, insignificant.
Wicked.
The moral of the story is Steve needs to do more drugs so he can watch this television show.
Correct.
Well, I don't know. I think it's one of those shows that, like, every time I watch it, I'm like, this is way too deep for what I'm digging right now, which, is only exacerbated if you're taking drugs, which, I don't endorse. Don't take drugs, kids, unless they're good ones. Because they're illegal. The Resupply does not endorse illegal and illicit activity publicly. That sounds dope, dude. We're gonna. I went and saw Dune 2. I won tickets to go see Dune 2, Dune Part 2.
Nice.
Sounds Dune-tastic.
It was dope. Fuck, I couldn't make it work. It was dope. I want a bucket. I want one of the popcorn buckets from
One of the fuckable popcorn buckets?
Oh yeah, most definitely. But I don't think they got them here.
You didn't get the forbidden fleshlight?
No.
Oh, wow.
The fleshlight dude or whatever. Almost.
I'll go with that.
Yeah. I'll get it. I'll figure it out. But yeah, I would like one, and so if any of my American friends wants to ship me one down, I'd be very, very grateful.
So they were charging like $30 for that when I went and saw it, and so I was like, no.
Do you know how much a
No.
flashlight costs these days? That's so good.
No,
and
Steve,
you get a
I
snack.
don't. Why don't you tell us how much it costs?
Soon, like $100. Fleshlight. Yeah, there we go. That's what it was. I couldn't get my tongue
can't
around
say I
it,
can
so to
type it.
speak. Yeah.
Lonnie.
Yeah. But yeah, it comes. You know, it's a snack and a toy. So double jeopardies. But yeah, I enjoyed the film. Than you enjoyed it. Dickie, you haven't seen it yet, but
I have not. I was too busy preparing for my Loveland trip, but I will probably see it maybe this weekend.
Yeah. I figured it out. So I didn't go see the original Dune at the movies, but loved the film. But I think I've watched it like 5, maybe 6 times this year, which is a lot of times considering it's the start of March.
Yeah. I guess more times than I've seen it in total, to be honest.
Yeah, right. I really, really dug part 1. So yeah.
No, it was just such it was a gorgeous movie. The sound design on it was freaking amazing. And it was at least a decent adaptation of the story.
Yeah.
Decent,
Yeah.
So there was a whole bunch of stuff to like. So yeah, it's definitely one that's worth seeing multiple times.
Most definitely.
It just is always, I think, to me, going to be a story in a series that would lend itself much better to like being a 10-episode HBO series.
Yeah.
Or something like that, rather than trying to compress it into even 2.5-hour films is just like it's tough. And the way the story is told, like in the book, it is more kind of like split into vignettes. So it's like it would be much easier to make it into an episodic show.
Yeah,
I think.
I think that's the case with most like good storytelling now, though. Is given the budget they put into like TV shows, especially on HBO or like Amazon Prime, like they do it pretty well. So yeah, you've just got more time. You don't have to rush through a bunch of shit.
I mean, there was the sci-fi adaptation. Was that in the early 2000s that did cover
anything
the first 3
older
books,
than
so.
2018? No, thank you.
Oh, the visuals were absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
like it was very much like the Sci-Fi Channel of the early 2000s. Like in terms of the character development, that does remain my favorite adaptation because it was longer and more in depth. But yeah, it did not have the budget to do what.
We're spoiled now.
With it.
I want it all. I want like amazing storytelling. I want amazing special effects, sound design. Acting's got to also be amazing. Yeah. But we won't go too much into that because DK hasn't seen it. We don't want to do any spoilers and shit. So, but if you haven't seen it,
we're not gonna spoil plot, but we won't spoil it for any of the audience either.
That's right. Right. Should we talk about some laser tag activities?
I think that sounds like a capital idea, old chum.
Yes, since I actually have something to contribute this week.
Oh fuck, I don't.
Besides your sparkling personality, of course. So you went and played some Laser Force. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to talk about the state of Auckland Laser Force first. We've talked about it a few times over the last few shows, but Auckland has had a resurgence, and it's awesome. It's made me it's given me back my love for the game, but not just for the game, but for like teaching the game.
Nice.
So like we've had this influx of players come in, all like real nice people. There's no douchebags, which is like such a surprise. Because
Honestly, yes. Yeah.
In any group of like 8 to 10,
Yeah.
the likelihood that at least one will just be
just a jerk, you know, then you only tolerate them because you need the numbers. But thankfully, it's a good bunch of people. So we've been playing a bunch, and you could tell so out of the group of like, I think a total of like 10 of them that come, 4 of them you can see Space Marines addiction in their eyes, like.
If only they could have started a year earlier, they could have made Nats.
True, and yeah, honestly, like I think they would have been great additions because they're learning very quickly. We taught them
2025. It won't be too far.
Exactly
for
right.
You guys
That's
to fly.
honestly like we've already got a team sort of for next Nats. I would be surprised if we don't have another one full team. And maybe some hanger-oners, but we'll see. You got some kids like that? Awesome, Tucker. Like that's great. What I'm trying to do though is I'm trying to mitigate the addiction turning ugly. So I can tell that they love the competition. Absolutely love the competition. They love the depth of the game. But I could see it potentially like unchecked turning into something, going either way, like it can do.
A terrible habit that will cost you thousands of dollars and rack up international travel bills left and right.
But more so,
you're right. That is a very dangerous addiction.
But more so the sacrificing of relationships with people for the thrill of the competition. You know what I mean? It's I think it's important, and these newer players are open to playing the variety of games that Laser Force has to offer, which is awesome. So yeah, it's been a good thing for Auckland Laser Force, for these guys to kind of learn that love for laser tag rather than just for Space Marines. Hopefully it grows longevity with the members. They seemingly are also, because they're still playing in the weekends at the party nights and stuff, and they are actively recruiting. Which
Awesome!
It's so good.
No, the actual best part about this, Steve-O, is that you're not having to do it.
100%. That's one of the best things ever. Only just it's such a time commitment to do it. But yeah, they're at that skill level where they are learning. They are like dominating the party nights, but doing it in a way that's beneficial. If you know what I mean, like people want to be around it rather than doing it in a way that's off-putting for people to come and hang out.
Right.
Yeah, so it's been really cool. I did have one of the young ladies seemingly elbow check me, which cracked me up so hard. She was playing a heavy game. She was put as heavy. She was defending a resupply. They were in the
just
blue
getting
base.
into the role. She's just getting into the role.
Her first instinct actually was to stand in front and start actively blocking attackers from being able to hit the resupply, which cracked me up. And afterwards I was like, okay, so that whilst that is a good strategy, it's actually against our rules.
It's also illegal.
Yeah. But kudos to you for doing it, because nobody said you couldn't. What's up, Snowflake? But I went around. They were in the resupply in a cubby, and I went around, and she was sort of standing at the outside of the cubby, and she did was the most subtle movement, but she went like this. She went and like at me, and I was like, "Oh shit!" She like trying to intimidate me. This is awesome.
It's like when dudes in the NBA will just like grab a rebound and just like.
Oh, it was
Like,
so-
I was just securing the ball. Securing the ball.
Yeah,
Definitely not
I'll
knocking
tell you
people's
what,
teeth out.
I'll take the long way around to your resupply, shall I? It was great though. So yeah, it's gonna be really good. I think. It's definitely a positive thing. So very, very happy to have the new players. They're all like, really nice people to be around as well. And it gave me an opportunity this week to kind of grab a map of the arena and start, explaining some stuff. So they came to me and they were like, hey, I've played my first heavy game, obviously, and I did this. What should I do at the start of the game? And I was like, oh, well, fancy you should say that. And sort of
allow me to educate you in the ways of this position that I have an all-star award at.
But I was like, obviously we do the show, the podcast, and there's like heaps of videos and stuff. But for our maze specifically, here's generally what happens at the start of the game. And we then played a Space Marines after that, and they got put as heavy with, I think I was their resupply, and immediately
She told me to check people.
No, yeah, I was like, what do you want to do? Take the butt of your gun? But no, they immediately implemented some of the things that I had explained that I'd just been talking about in the armory, and it was real satisfying to kind of to see people who are open to teaching, and not only open to it, but actually like actively seeking it out. So
I will definitely say that, like, over the course of my playing career, that is probably the most satisfying feeling. Oh, even over and above the Nationals wins. I mean, those are great, obviously, but there is something ultimately satisfying about you give a player some sort of feedback, some sort of instruction, some sort of coaching, and then you watch them implement it, and seeing that with like a bunch of different players over time, and you see them continually like, okay, you've got the foundation, now let's put some framing on there, let's keep incrementally improving things. And just watching players get better so that the competition is better, so that everybody gets better. It's pretty freaking great.
Yeah, man. It was a pretty good night. So we are still, hoping that we can get a few more cats on, because we actually had I think 15 players the last couple of weeks.
Nice.
Turn up to members night. So I broke teams of 5, and we ran a couple of team A versus team 2, team A versus 2. Come on, man.
We knew what you meant.
Yeah,
Fortunately, after all these years, we at least kind of speak Steve-O. So yeah.
Unhinged and inconsistent.
Correct.
Is my family crest. You tried away arms to block shots. It's so good. You feeling itch possibly, dude? If you were gonna come back, now's the time to do it. I think you'll really enjoy being around this group of people. Yeah, I think it'll scratch that itch without the burning sensation afterwards.
Nailed it.
Well done.
Thank you,
I was waiting to see if you were gonna get there. You were gonna go for it, and you went there, and you got it.
Yeah.
He stuck the landing on that one, Jim.
You're talking about satisfaction. Jesus.
That's a 9.5, 9.3, 9.6, 9.7, and a 6.0 from the Russian judge.
What a reference. Am I gonna staple my scrotum to his leg next? Well, I mean, no, I already did that. That's why I sit when I do the podcast. What's up, Stanley? Nice to see you.
So
But-
that's just some lines, even for charity, you shouldn't cross when you're punishing yourself.
That's right. That's right. Only burning will be the lactic acids in the muscles. Yeah, exactly right.
I feel attacked.
Yeah, well, we'll get there. We also had some interesting scenarios this week with the newer players because the randomizer, doing teams of 5 when there's 2 vets to a team and everyone else is basically new, you get some kooky matchups. And
Yeah, you would.
I think they are good to still play out, but oh my goodness, like when you have a vet as a commander versus a new player as a heavy, whew, gnarly. I brought it up prior to the podcast, and maybe we'll circle back to it. But hey, DK, you got to play some laser tag recently, didn't you?
I did. Lucky me, for the first time in like 5 months. So this was
Holy shit, it's been that long. I thought you were there. Like,
yeah, we're there in
like,
October,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's now start of March.
I was like earlier in the year. Wait, it is earlier in
No.
the year.
Yeah, no.
Well, yeah,
dude.
the year starts immediately after Nats, right? Then it's the start of a new year.
Yeah. That's how.
That's how I measure time. I don't know about everybody else.
Financial year, not calendar year. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, how was the week? It looked like, it was what, 2 days? 2 days you guys played.
3 days.
3 days.
Yeah. Monday we pretty much had the place to ourselves. So I mean, first, like, huge thank you to John Calikins, aka Simply Okay, for opening laser tag and letting us just do our stuff, since he was managing there and sacrificed time out of his day when he's expecting a kid in a couple of months. So, to take a few days just to let us homeless laser tag people have a bit of fun, but also so some of the newer Loveland players and even experienced Loveland players could just get some more games and get some practice in, since we got that tournament coming up in a few months. So it was a really nice few days. We got heaps of games, on or about 50 games plus minus a few on either side, because I know there was some contention about how many games were actually played. But I know I at least played over the span of 3 days, probably 34, 35 games, something like that. I know that I did 15 the last day because it gave me the 15 games in one day achievement at the end of that. So I know I must have not have played more than 15 on either of the previous 2 days.
Right.
And so probably like 34, 35 games over the 3 days, something like that.
Wow. That's nice.
Yeah,
Well,
and big thanks to Tucker as well. Not just because he's in chat, but because he did a lot of the work of organizing the night, letting know whose turn it was to play, making sure people were cycling in and getting the right number of games, giving preference to the out-of-towners. So that, I know that organization also takes a bit of time. So I want to thank Tucker for that as well.
Yeah, sure, bro.
Yeah. And 30 odd games in 3 days. I mean, that's Nats prep right there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Snowflake, you got altitude sickness? That's gnarly, dude. That's what I'm saying. You need the O2. You need to get them oxygen tanks cranking to get the intake in. Does it match Commander Heavy or Commander? I think it was Commander. I think it matches positionally, but not always. It depends on
that's the thing. It's not always so it makes me want to know what the nesting of priorities is.
Yeah.
Because at least from how I've seen it operate, it kind of seems like the first thing it prioritizes is what have you not played recently, like in your rotation lineup and stuff like that.
Right.
And seems to rotate not just between the positions equally, but like we'll go resupply scout 3-hit, resupply scout 3-hit, or something in there. Left to its own devices, if you play with 12 people who all have enough games all night, I feel like that's kind of the pattern that it sets. But yeah, then you get some weird matchups. And I think, like Tucker was saying, I've seen it get where you have like an experienced commander on one team and an experienced heavy on the other team, but then inexperienced people in the opposite roles on the other team. So it's like, that is kind of a different, interesting dynamic. But yeah, it would be better if it took like the overall balance of the game into account. Because when I was doing it manually, that's the things that I was trying to think about.
Yeah, for sure. It does a thing I find as well where it'll take like the top ranked player and kind of average what it thinks. I'll put the top ranked player and these 3 brand new players in key roles, and then we're gonna balance it out with, we give the other team a bunch of vets, but put them as like resupply or whatever, and it seems to think, all right, well, that's gonna balance out because whatever. But you end up with some crazy lopsided teams because it's not quite as simple as that. I think for speed of play, the randomizer is obviously awesome.
It's fantastic. Like, yeah, no, not trying to like talk shit about Chris's product by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just always curious about like what the actual algorithm is involved as to why you get such lopsided games sometimes.
Yeah. So one of the things I was going to say before, and we'll obviously talk more in depth about Loveland, but one of the players who's been playing with us for the last like few weeks is a zone player, and that zone player is the guy who created the telemetry that we talked about last year. Which
That's
is
awesome.
Oh yeah, real cool, and like really interesting to talk to him and find out the stuff that they do. Like he developed like a board that they actually take the suit apart, plug the board in, and like play with it that way. And
okay,
yeah, yeah, like stuff that would never in a million years would I be like, oh yeah, Laser Force just lets us change,
open the packs up and plug something into their board.
Hack the planet.
Wow.
But he did say about, and I kind of not warming up, but kind of want to get him on the show at some point and just kind of talk through some of the stuff, assuming that he's allowed to talk about it in a public forum.
You just fucked up his NDA, bro.
Yeah, but like some of the stuff that they do is like stuff that I would love to implement in Space Marines, in our Space Marine scene. I did one thing that he was, oh my god, that's such a cool idea. It was the pedometer or the step tracker in the system. He was like, oh my god, that's so fucking awesome. I was like, I know, right? We don't have it in Auckland yet, but I'm looking forward to when they do the update and we do get it. Assuming that, yeah, like I still think that they need a way to collate all that information and like, let you export that data or collate it somewhere or whatever. Keep it in an app, or Laser Force needs an app. It's crazy that they don't have an app. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. He gets Scatterblast, SQ Mega
Maybe it's
Blast.
in the works. Who knows?
Yeah, it probably is.
Because I know they've definitely added some additional kind of redemption features and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
That the more games you play, like unlocking of additional avatars and the voice assistants and all that kind of stuff.
As well.
The ticket system
Yeah.
that's integrated. So there are a lot of things that are attractive just from a tracking standpoint, for a personal interest standpoint, and obviously also for a business tracking, data mining kind of purpose.
Yeah. Are you getting a phone call?
Useful data.
Yeah, sorry.
This is so vibrates all the way through the microphone.
You sure that's not the protest outside your house, Steve?
Yeah, no, so sorry. Apparently, suspected spam caller really wanted to get in contact with me.
Bro, should have answered
I
it.
love that guy.
Oh, we should have taken that call on the show. Could you imagine? That'd be great.
Nah.
Yeah. So that stuff is all really, really awesome. Anyway, I got sidetracked. The reason I bring it up, they use a app to like randomize the teams, I think, when they play on a weekly basis, which would be kind of cool. I'd love a randomizer based on the LF stats website, rather than the just generic Laser Force stats. I think that would be cool, but I think I put something in.
You did,
and it was quickly lulled at. So yeah.
Well, it's not that Russ, I don't think, doesn't want to do it. It's just he doesn't currently have the time to do it.
That's right.
So,
That's right. Yeah.
But if Laser Force Corporate would like to pay him for the code, the IP, and all that kind of stuff, I'm sure he would field offers.
Yeah, 100%. If I don't get sidetracked anymore, love you, baby boy. Miss you, sidetracked.
Ouch.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we'll go back to talking about Loveland. So yeah, it was cool.
For sure.
Wow.
And I was really curious to check
job,
out the
Steve-O.
pedometer tracker as well, and to see sort of going game to game if I could glean any useful data from that. Like, is there any kind of correlation between like players who are moving more? Are they scoring more? Are the experienced players moving more than the inexperienced players? And I obviously haven't I wasn't like keeping careful notes or anything like that, but I don't feel like I've fully kind of unpacked the data or unraveled connections, because games are different too. A game
For
that's
sure.
like going well for you, but it's really grindy and it's just back and forth on battling on the second floor. You're just not going to move around as much as if you kick the other team downstairs. You have to run all the way down there to go shoot them, and then if you have to run all the way back up to get resupply, then you run all the way back down, and that's like the whole game.
Yeah.
Is being moving more. So I think it just has more to do with the flow of the game. But it is at least useful for me to be like, I feel really tired after that game. Should I be tired? Okay, yeah, I took like 1,300 steps. Yeah, I should be tired. That's fine.
I think at Brisbane, the most I recorded for me personally was like 750 steps in a game, I think. And that was like by far the most. Sort of sat around 400 steps, and I was like, oh, I'm about half as active as anyone else here. That's cool.
Hey, Turret Steve is a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, not in Brisbane. not that night. But yeah, it's such a cool feature, man. It is a really, really cool feature. Did you find that there were like kind of the amount of steps people were taking were all around the same amount, like sort of around that 900 step mark?
Yeah, it seemed like that was pretty standard, especially for like scouts and 3 hits. We're probably somewhere between like 800 and 1,000 steps most game.
Yeah.
And it on occasion you would see a couple of people, maybe not usually more than one on a team, who might have 1,200, 1,300 steps if they just happen to be doing a lot of that stuff.
Jarrett
in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought
I was that's what I was actually going to look at. I'm like, is Jarrett going to take like twice as many steps as other people? But
Yes,
it wasn't like outlandishly.
Well, no, because he
higher,
just
but-
floats in the breeze. So I mean, you don't
True.
have to step if you're gliding.
Yeah, no. The last one of these a couple of months ago, like a lot of the games he was in, he was definitely doubling most people's steps.
Right.
And it was like, oh, right, you're young and fit and quick and all of these things. So
Yeah. I was gonna ask, how do you pronounce that code name? Is it Eli?
Yeah, that's Eli.
Eli. Right. Cool.
That's
Is
his
that a
real
code name?
That's not his code
Yeah.
name.
Yeah. Should have.
That's his real name.
Yeah. Cool. That's a cool name. You joke with
It's the less anglicized spelling of Eli.
Eli. Right on. Dope.
Mhm.
You joke with Josiah that you average about 300 to 400 steps a game. Tucker, I'm right there with you, bro. I'm all about,
conservation of energy.
That's right. Yeah, it's all part of
conservation
the
of
plan.
motion.
Yeah, all part of the plan.
Hey, sometimes you gotta walk it up the court like LeBron James. There's no shame in that. You just catch a little breather here and there.
That's right. That's right. Just because I do it 14 out of 15 minutes of any game. So what? You mean still score fairly efficiently? Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah, that's dope. So how was the gameplay like in general?
So overall, it was really good. As Connor mentioned in chat, there were definitely some lopsided, wonky splits on the randomizer. Oftentimes, unfortunately for me, included almost all of the heavy games that I got, where I would be like, oh, who are the opposing 3 hits are Calkins and Josiah. Oh, and I have the 2 newest players on my team playing Ammo and Scout, by the way. This is going to go great.
Computer's like, oh, he's a world champion. Oh, okay, we'll just...
Yeah, I'm like, I appreciate the vote of confidence, I guess. Honestly, I would rather have a challenge in the game than, get paired up against somebody who's brand new at heavy. Like, okay, cool, I can score 9,000 or 10,000 points, but Like that's not going to make me any better. But it's like I would just like the overall balance of the game to be better. I don't mind going up against 2 other strong 3 hits as long as I have another like experienced 3 hit to go along with me.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a fair fight. Which one of the games it sort of was that way because I think it was me and Luke against Josiah and Bromley. I think that was a pretty good game.
That's cool. That's a good matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And how many people sort of stuck around? Because it seemed like what four teams almost.
Yeah, because we had about 10 people from out of town, and then we had Loveland, pretty much all of Loveland A and B at one time or another. So that's another, 12 people right there, and plus a few extras from Loveland who aren't necessarily like intending to be tournament players or who are sort of alternates for tournament players. So yeah, we must have had 25, 30 people there at one point.
Tucker says you guys had 25 on Wednesday and Monday and Tuesday. We're between 16 and 18. That's pretty respectable. It's honestly it's just pretty awesome that we can continually be doing these large travel things for essentially just extended members nights and people are like, yeah, let's do that. Let's every couple of months let's just show up a place and do a thing for a few days.
And that's why I want to push back on the scene is dying talk because it's not like Auckland just got a new infusion of talent. Loveland is actively growing and other people from other sites are still making an effort to go out and play. Like as long as at least some of those sites are growing, we have a decent shot.
Yeah.
But I feel like much of the scene is dying talk is like, well, sure, but you've only come to like one tournament in the last 2 years, so
we've talked about it a bunch of times on here, and I did there was a post that went out about a tournament which I don't think we talked about on here.
Nope.
Oh, we briefly mentioned,
and we're not going to.
Well, I mean, I bring it up to say if you want to check it out, the conversation is actually was in the committee page. But I say that to say that like I think it's important to change the vernacular around it because it's one of those things where if enough people keep reinforcing the negative, then
self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly right. So if you change the way you speak on it, then it often changes the outcome. So
it's hard to make a case for the scene is dying when we keep doing stuff like this in Loveland and
that aren't even tournaments.
And we keep getting a good number turning up. It's hard to say that the scene is dying when we're doing these like once a month things at Lost Worlds in Los Angeles, and people are going down from Sacramento and coming up from San Diego for it. I mean, it's hard to say it's dying. Like Steve said, like you guys just got an influx of like 10 new people. Okay, that's cool, and maybe they're not tournament ready this year, and that's fine. Like they have to bed in and everything, but maybe they're tournament ready next year. So
it's just feels, the scene just changes, and the scene is always, it has always been in a state of change. It just for some people tournament play stops, and then for some people it doesn't, and that's okay. Like it just stuff always changes. It always changes, but it is what it is.
And by far some of the best games that I saw were the practice matches between the LA team, which is the Odin's Fist, Snowflake, Disco, Autumn, Minette, and Poopies, Anthony from Loveland, their team. So I don't know why they're going to be LA, but okay. So they're the LA team against the Loveland B team, because those teams had some good scrimmages against each other.
Awesome.
And were having good grinding games. I think each team won a couple of those apiece, so they were fairly balanced as well, just depending what happened in games. Because I think the California team has, let's say, age and experience on their side, and Loveland B definitely has, like youthful energy and speed, and it's their home arena also.
Yeah.
But some of them have come quite a long way in a pretty short time. So there's still a sense to make, because I really still believe that if the chips are down, that just right now, Odin, Snowflake, Disco in particular are the best players in those games. But some of the Loveland B players are getting pretty good.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna be approaching that level soon.
To what I'd like to see, it's obnoxious, yeah, super fast people. What I'd like to see for like a night like this, or an event like this, or even like members night on a weekly basis, is if we had some sort of program or app or whatever it is, that linked into the stats website, where you could choose the players that are at Blazers that night or whatever, and you could choose the format of the tournament you wanted to play. So you either have like 5-a-side, you have 6-a-side, you have triple threat, you have duos, you have all these things, and it could take the players that you input in for that event or that night or whatever. It breaks out even teams and then creates a bracket or something. Something that would be fairly quick to do. You could essentially like run impromptu like tournaments, or like, say one of the 3 days that you guys played. Hey guys, how do you guys feel about doing a triple threat or a duos or something? You want to do that? Cool, sweet. All right, well, we've got all the names in the app already. We generate teams. Boom, these are teams. There's your bracket. Where you go.
Honestly, if we'd known that we essentially had the place to ourselves on Wednesday, we might have tried to organize some kind of like mini tournament if we had just told people to get there at a certain time.
Yeah.
But we had no idea that we were effectively going to be able to run 15-minute games for most of the day, because just not that much Gen Pub came in.
And of course, had you planned to do something like that, it would have been slammed with Gen Pub, and it wouldn't have happened. So
if there's some capable programmers or smarter people than me out there, which is, let's face it, everyone. But if someone could make that happen, that would be amazing. I think it would be another one of the tools that helps enrich the scene and enrich like the competitive side of the scene. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't look to do it every week, but like for instance, I sat down, I broke teams this week, which I haven't done for a long time. This week and last week, I haven't done for many years, because A, we haven't had the players, and B, no, just A, we haven't had the players. But yeah, it would be really, really cool. But so did you guys did run some Nats lineups, some Nats prac lineups?
Yeah, it was mostly those two teams where the full constructed ones were there, because I was the only person from my team who was in attendance. Loveland A did get a couple of practice games just by pulling in as many of the experienced opposition players as they could. So like me, Caleb, Snuffles, Aiden, people who were on last year's USA team, and then a couple others, since obviously we didn't have absolutely everybody there, but just get some other experienced people, throw them into a scrimmage. And those were good games too. Loveland definitely stomped us pretty hard in all of those games.
As they should.
It's as they should. And right on, it's them playing well as a unit. It's them putting their experience to use. I would love to say that I had the same kind of focus and mentality of wanting to focus 100% energy into winning those games the way that we did in the run up to last year's Nats. But it just wasn't the case. Like the intensity just wasn't the same, at least not on my end. But the fact that it's there on Loveland's end, they're still putting that kind of effort into those practices. And it's good for them to play against other people who aren't Loveland players.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a complete gimme game or anything like that. I'm not going to say like we didn't try. Like I still tried. It's just, it's is a different level of intensity.
Well, yeah,
And that's just true kind of with social nights versus tournament nights overall, which is another thing that became very apparent to me this week. Is I'm like, yeah, the way in particular that some players play on social nights versus tournament play, or you notice the differences between people who are regular tournament players versus people who are mostly social game players. It's like the flow of the game is so different, and I think it's getting farther and farther apart as the tournament meta is changing, because we saw all those strategy innovations and things that happened in last year's Nats and in some of the previous tournaments that we had in the US. So the kind of differences I feel like are just growing over time.
Yeah, the like it's not surprising that the intensity wasn't quite the same, because you've won your ship, your hunger is gone. There's no drive to be a dynasty. It's okay, man. It's okay.
Better fucking not be gone.
No, plus when you don't have your team wasn't there, so it's understandable, right?
Yeah, I would have loved to get our team together to practice, because I know that we'd be beating Loveland A right now, but we can get there.
Yeah,
we can get there. We got some reps.
Yeah, you can get there. I'm real excited to see how they do, compared to previous years, because they seemingly looks like they're putting in the work. So that's a big.
They're putting in the work, and they have the right 6 now.
Right.
I think in some previous years there was just some personal issues and slotting people in and out, which sometimes is just logistics of who can go to a tournament. But even in stuff they've organized for themselves. So I think if I, just as an outside observer, if I were going to pick who are the 6 who I think should be Loveland's A team, I think they have the right 6.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's definitely a much more cohesive unit than they've ever put on the floor before, and their B team as well is also pretty cohesive. I mean, the question marks around the B team are strictly those things around playing your first tournament.
It's just an experience thing.
Yeah,
but they have
experience.
Real talent on that team.
Awesome,
for sure.
Like, White Ninja, and Strukva in particular, who are almost certainly going to be the 3 hits for their team at Nats. I actually saw them swap roles a couple of times, playing Commander versus Heavy and stuff like that. But that whole team definitely has talent, because Judah and Eli are no slouch either, and neither are Azra and what's the Rat. The Rat is the other player. I always forget, but yeah, they're good players, and arguably I would say like their 3-hit players are approaching, like getting close to the level of talent of some of the other higher caliber tournament players. So I'm curious to see and excited to see what they're going to do at Nats, because if they do elevate a step, they may well surpass some other visiting teams that might be more experienced. Because we also got kind of a peek at a potential Syracuse roster, which has a lot of classic heavy hitter names, but a lot of them have also not played tournaments in a few years. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes when Nats rolls around. I'm certainly never going to discount those players, because I respect all of them quite a lot.
Sure. Are they playing on the regular at the moment? Like just Syracuse in general? Oh, speaking of which, what's up, people? Why?
Yeah, speak of the devil. Why? I heard Evil's on that list.
Why? I don't understand. Like, why? I don't know. Maybe I kind of understand, but kind of not. You guys have a site. You got management that wants tournament play. Should be just a easy homer, but I don't know. Someone explain to me why that's not the case.
Just grab some of the crackheads at the mall and bring them down and play it for the Fun Warehouse. What could go wrong? There's no shortage of them.
Oh no! So glad none of our new players are crackheads from the mall. The thing that is going to be good for both the teams is we have 20 more weeks practice versus one another. Yeah, and so speaking from like experience or we kind of had the same thing in our run up to Nats. The confidence that you get going into a Nats when you've had ample preparation time and you've used that time well.
Massive,
huge confidence boost, man, and that's almost as important as anything else is going into that week, like respectfully not fearing anyone that you're about to play against.
And I know there was some consternation too among their B team, because at least the week before we got there, I think they had done sort of a swap that we've talked about on this show, where you take like the offense players on one squad and the defense players, and like, kind of swap them together. And I guess there were some players on the B team who weren't really big fans of that, or felt that it put them in bad positions. But I think that is a really good way to develop not just sort of synergy with your players, but also to kind of get some insight into how the other side is doing, without it being this like constant fight. Because if you're on the B team facing the A team, like, it's always a really hard fight every single game. And sometimes you just aren't able to observe in the moment when some of the dynamics are, because you're too worried about, I need to make sure that I get live so I don't die out of this game early or something like that. So I don't know if any of them are watching, but Tucker, you can show them the VOD now and say, I think that is to your guys' advantage. You should do more of that. I know it feels a little weird now, but it is a really good training tool.
Well, the other side of that as well is it gets you out of your rhythm, which is actually, it can be a good thing. Like if you fall into the motions of doing the same shit every time, when you introduce new lineup dynamics like that, then it can make you it trains you to be more aware. Like, you have to be more aware and concentrate rather than just going through the motions. So it's definitely worth doing. And obviously it's not a every game type thing, but maybe 1 in 4, 1 in 5, switch them around, see how you go. Kind of learning. Like, you always learn some shit, always. You told them when you just play against the same 10 or so players, you play against that player, not play the same. Oh, that's a rough one.
The way I'm reading that is that you're just playing against the opposing player, rather than playing a holistic game.
That's right.
Because if you learn another player's tendencies, all your strategies become about how I exploit this player. But when you play people who you don't play with on a weekly basis, you still need the fundamentals, is right what I would call it. And the fundamentals are always important. And even as the meta has evolved, there are just some things that you can tell some of the cutoffs between new players and good players, and then good players and great players, based on just some of the fundamental approaches to the game. And it's when those things start clicking, that's when I think you see the jumps in people's games.
Case in point, when at Nats last year, us local players had never really, not in a long time, considered holding blue base as a viable resupply option. That became the play for most other traveling teams. So it's that kind of stuff. Not so much when you switch your attacking threes or whatever, but more so that's why these nights where travelers are coming from out of town, they become so important for the development of the locals, because the out of town players, people that aren't there on the regular, will play outside of the regular meta, and you can learn some new shit, which is good, or you can learn how to defeat the new shit that comes at you. Match play versus round play, 100% Ducky, exactly right. I tried to watch some of the stream, but this week has been a week of doing tedious horse shit, so it's been difficult to focus on anything that's not just background noise, or drum and bass, which is the same thing. But there are VODs. I can't watch VODs. VODs annoy me because I need to react to things in the moment for how they are at that moment, and if I miss it, then I get frustrated.
Then you missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I have the same issue with going back to and watching stuff, at least for the members night things. Like I popped in and watched for a bit, and that was cool. But going back for certain things, like unless I pick out a game, you know, if that's not like, ooh, what, and the replay isn't working on LF Stats, you know, then I might go back and have to find it. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
If you do want to go back and watch anything, the games I would recommend would be the Loveland B versus California games. I think those were the most interesting. I was reffing a lot of those games, so I wasn't watching the dynamic on the scoreboard. But at least from that standpoint, they were, I think, the most interesting games during the week.
Yeah,
at least that I didn't play in.
Yeah. Now all we need is to, you know, plan the next one of these.
Yeah, exactly right. I assume that there's going to be one in.
Well,
May.
so no, so
Unfortunately not, since
Yeah.
you know that person who I talked about who makes these possible by opening up for us is expecting a kid. The kid's coming in May, so there's
What
probably
a
not going to
selfish
be having
guy.
to make members night.
Calkin, sort your priority out, mate.
Well, and I know that I talked with Autumn briefly about this, and there was a thought of April, what Tucker just said in chat, but like the the dates on that kind of put it in finals week for some people, which makes it a little eh. So I know that there was going to be a discussion to see if maybe we do May in St. George or Cedar or something, like do something a little bit different.
Well, it'll have to be St. George. Cedar is not ready. We can't have a full member night in that arena.
Death Trap,
yeah.
Again, getting out of your comfort zone. Good training exercise for us, but yeah,
You still have
I'm
to
not
have
dancing
some.
my body on that again.
Yeah, you still need some basic necessities.
Safety.
Yeah.
So if we do something in May in St. George, that I think is still worth doing.
Just go to Syracuse.
A little less cost effective.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, Vegas is at least Vegas, and drive to St. George is at least very overall cost effective.
It's at least triple the price to get to Syracuse, if not 4 times more expensive.
Holy shit!
Versus flights to Vegas.
Yeah, because to get to Syracuse, like there's very few direct flights into Syracuse or
not
Albany.
on our coast. I don't think there are any.
Exactly. So you have to go someplace else and start over, and it just becomes a problem.
So I was talking to Troy last night in Discord because we were watching the Warriors play and the rugby league, and he was saying that they have had some of the old cats come back. They're currently like Jared currently plays, and Fredo has started playing again.
Whoa! Fredo's come back?
Yeah, apparently.
What?
Apparently. I don't know if it was
on
one
from the golden oldies. We're getting the platinum oldies now.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew
great.
Jared had come back because like after he did the pod with us, he was like, "Oh yeah, maybe I'm gonna go back and start playing again." And so okay, cool. But Fredo coming back that's a surprise. I don't think I would have picked that on my 2024 Laser Force bingo card.
It is kind of awesome. So hopefully they can hopefully they've got, you know, a decent populace coming through the doors at the moment, which is kind of cool. Did the Warriors actually play though, or did they just stand on the field? They played for like for one half and then they got smoked, which, you know, that's about right. It's about par for the course. Any particular things that you kind of want to spotlight from the trip?
I mean, not to get too just like deep into my own shit, but
get deep.
Go for it. Just go for it.
Get balls deep.
Go for it.
Just like, I don't know, miniature midlife crisis experiencing and going to these events and just realizing that I didn't play badly. Like I don't want to be too down on myself. Like I had some good games. I had some games where I really was not proud of how I played. Overall, I think I did fine, but I'm not at the level that I want to be at, or in some ways the level that I think I should be at. And part of it is because my body does not respond as quickly as my brain wants it to, where I'm like,
Huh.
hey, this person's gonna come missile you. You should run down that hall. And my legs are like, yeah, but do you though? Do you really need to run down that hall?
I
Well,
can't
maybe
relate. Thank, can you
can
relate?
dodge a missile.
It's officially on the downhill slide. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
So it's just partly a fact of life that you can't do the same things at 40 that you did at 25.
Yeah.
Or you can, but it takes that much more effort to not just to train, but also to maintain it. Because I got myself, I'm not going to say I got myself in like the best shape of my life last year because I just was older than when I did that. But like in comparison to say 2017, I felt like I got my body kind of working at peak condition, but I was still closer to my early 30s rather than my late 30s at the time. And there have been some changes that happen in between when you start getting, what is it? Like, it's just like reverse puberty, I guess.
Oh no, the weird hair in the ears. That's a new buzz.
Yeah. You start hearing like a soft rustling.
Yeah. Well, it's only soft because of the age. But he's trying.
And your hearing is going.
Yeah.
So there's more work that needs to be put in before Nats is basically all I'm saying. And I have to break my promise to my legs that I wasn't going to make them run and train a whole bunch before another Nats. So I was like, but if we win in Auckland, I won't make you
see that right there. That right there. That lack of hunger. It's fun. You.
Yeah, but I told you I lied. The hunger's back. Because if I'm gonna play, I'm gonna put all the effort that I can into it. There's just I don't have it in me to show up to a tournament like out of shape or not ready to play.
Yeah.
Both for my own standards and because I really don't want to let the rest of my team down.
For
so
sure.
I have aspirations that I want to get back to that level, but I know at some point in the future, it's just things are not going to be as tenable. And when you're used to playing the game at a certain level, it gets hard. And it gets hard as well because you don't get to play every week.
Yeah.
And so it's like that much harder to get back into the groove next time you did play. Like that's why going to these things is always bittersweet for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I love being here. I love being around all you guys and just going out and socializing and also playing a bunch of games. But it makes it even harder that I know that I'm not going to be able to do this again for months. And that even if I am training and doing things on a more regular basis, it's not the same as throwing on a vest and playing Space Marines every week, both for fun and because there are just all kinds of weird hidden muscles that you only use for Space Marines that don't apply to any other time in your life. And you figure out exactly where they are on your body when you're done playing.
Yeah. I love the Space Marines callus, the one right here. Yeah. It's always the random spots on your arms. Like, you're like, what the, how
I got
again?
A fat gash in my knee too. When I just turned around the corner 2 seconds into the game, coming up the red ramp and just bam right into a wall. I got a nice just vertical slot down my knee. Looks like I had knee surgery.
Good job. Well done.
So I got to the point. So I've actually started training and stuff again, which is cool. I'm like 3 weeks in, feeling pretty good. But
nice.
When I became afraid to run in a Laser Force arena, that's kind of when I was like, oh, okay, so this is like where I'm at now. I'm too scared to actually run around because I don't know if my knee's going to give out or if I'm going to collide with someone or whatever. All that stuff that you're like, if this happens, then my recovery time is fucking
problematic.
That's something that now I've add to the pile of bullshit for the remainder of my years. Which is not good.
With age comes wisdom, but also sometimes an overabundance of caution.
Yeah.
Because you know those things.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're young, you've never blown out your ACL. You're like, what's the worst that could happen?
You blow out your ACL and then you have 9 to 12 months of recovery time.
Ugh,
yeah.
Fuck that noise.
Yeah, I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
It's not high on the list of anything that I want anybody to do. I mean, obviously, you can play without one. You just need to really strap your knee up nice and tight to do it.
Yeah, and have a good commander.
And have a good commander and a good heavy. Yeah, that helps. So you minimize the amount of running. Although to be fair, like in all seriousness, I don't know that I would have been viable in a 2-story arena.
Yeah. Thankfully,
thankfully, Ballarat was pretty much one level, and I never had to do the ramp up middle section because that wasn't my job.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that like had we been playing anywhere else that actually had a second level, I don't know that I would have been able to actually do it, because part of the reason I was able to play with no ACL was like all of my running was straight line running.
Yeah.
It wasn't incline, decline stuff. It was just And I definitely ate a couple of missiles that, maybe I wouldn't have otherwise, because like, no, I'm not risking that sideways plant.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
The moral
or
of the
sometimes
story,
you just need to eat the missile for your medic.
Also true. Also true.
Which another thank you to Aiden. Thanks for eating those missiles for me, so the old man can hobble away.
Dude, whilst I remember, so Sneak's been bringing his son to members nights now for a little while, so he's played with us a bunch. This week though, he was he was the commander, I was the heavy. He schooled me.
Did he wreck you?
Yeah. Yeah, really, like I was so stoked and also real mad about it.
That's right.
But
how'd it feel to get schooled?
Moves.
How'd it feel to get schooled by a 10-year-old?
It's fucking bullshit. So I punch him in the face. No. Yeah, so it's it's a tough thing. Like this workout kind of routine that I'm doing at the moment, a lot of it is sort of slowly trying to build strength back in my knees, because the first week I just did like body weight squats, and I had this ache through both of the front of my kneecaps. I was just like, that's a new pain. That's really weird. Anyway, that's enough of old guys get old.
Well, unfortunately, all three of us are old guys who are getting old.
Yeah.
If you want the young people, go listen to Luke's podcast. You don't need this.
It's full of hope. The crest of our podcast is this is the part of the scene that's dying, is us.
Yeah, but like actually dying.
Yeah.
The scene isn't dying.
It's
the old men.
It's just the old guys.
The scene isn't dying, we are.
Yeah.
See, really, the reminder I need for this is I need Traj to come back and play one more tournament, because then I can be like, okay, good. I still got another good 14 years or so.
What the hell's a Traj?
Who's that guy?
Unfortunately, his knees are definitely cunted. So
I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Dude needs to take up some disc golf is what he needs to do, but that's a different cult video. What did I have? I think I came up with a name for our upcoming laser tag disc golf crossover podcast that it will inevitably get started once we get done with our upcoming tournament. But yeah, it's coming up real soon, end of this month, which is real excited. Yeah. So we'll be hanging out with the crew, playing some disc golf, and it's gonna be nice to actually see the Melbourne Laser Force contingent, and also Troy and Lucy are coming down as well. The name of the podcast was Force and Finesse. That's the
wow.
title, the working title.
That
impressive.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
That could apply to so many different topics. That's so good.
It's really especially funny when Hoodlum misread finesse and thought I was saying fitness, and then started talking about fitness a bunch. Showed a real lack of finesse. Yeah. But I'm gonna hopefully we'll do a recap part about that, because obviously we're short of content. But
I mean,
yeah.
short.
Well, we're only 5 episodes away from our 200 episode extravaganza now.
That's
so.
gonna creep up on us, and
It's
so
already
far,
crept up on us.
well, I haven't necessarily landed on what I'd like to do for the 200th episode.
Well, we didn't know it was necessarily going to be the 200th, but we do have another idea that's in the works that we're definitely going to do.
Yeah. Maybe we do that for 199.
But it might be.
We'll do that 199 and then 200. Ahoy, Lucy. Nice to see you. You're cooking the whole day today? That's the dream. Food and Laser Force. Yeah, force and finesse, if you will. But yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I just need to start running and biking more, which will get easier now. The weather is getting nicer here, because I want to be able to move those few extra crucial inches at Nats when they're called for.
Yeah.
Because right now I only give the extra inches to your mom.
What an unnecessary drive-by.
I call it the force and finesse.
You just ruined my upcoming podcast, you son of a bitch.
Well, I don't think there's anywhere else we can go from here.
Yeah.
Take us out, Steve.
They got to get better than that. Look, we'll be around. Obviously, this coming week for some more Laser Force adjacent, but mostly clowning around on Twitch entertainment for you to enjoy. But I'm glad that Laser Force is being played and is still being enjoyed, especially by us old timies. Maybe some managed democracy. Yeah, that was a bit of fun. We did a role play stream during the week for Helldivers 2. I gotta say, a massive thanks to the Broforce for that one, because they were hilarious. I did say earlier, Tucker, about not being a fan of VODs. Check that one out. There's some gold clips that came out of the podcast, especially
check that one out,
given that you dig the game. So,
Yeah.
and how terribly we do grizzled American soldier accents. Yeah, it was really, really funny. But for this week, I've been Guy Next Door.
I've been very old DK.
And I've been very older than.
Always remember to call DK's mum back. We will see you all. No. Always remember to backtrack, kids. We will see you all next week. Enjoy the rest of your day. Ka kite anō.
I've been throwing daggers in all my mysteries just to get a laugh. You keep me hanging on so tight. Sometimes I just have to